Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. We being Katie and I, are in the kitchen today, and we are making some California rolls. And California rolls were first made, or if you want to say invented, in the late 60s, early 1970s by a chef who did it because a lot of Americans didn't like raw fish. So he came up with California rolls that used avocado and cucumbers instead. We've also started to add crab or imitation crab as well, but the Japanese call California rolls inside out sushi, and you can see why when you see pictures of them. Regular sushi will have the nori or the seaweed on the outside, where California rolls, this is rolled onto the inside. And so we're going to start with a couple of basic ingredients. One, we have some nori sheets, and these come a whole sheet. Katie's handing me one. A whole sheet looks like this, but for our purposes, we only want to use half, and we want the rough side up towards me. Okay. So we also have a bamboo rolling mat that we've covered with plastic wrap. We have our avocado, some cucumber that we've julienned, and some imitation crab meat. We have some sesame seed. For garnish, we have some Japanese mayo, some wasabi, and Katie's favorite, the pickled ginger. But we also, when you make the rice, that's one of the first steps. You want to make your rice, and you need to make sure you get sushi rice. It's even extra sticky. And so you're going to cook it, and if you have a rice cooker, you can do it in the rice cooker, but you can do it on the stovetop as well. Just follow the package directions. When you're done with that, all you have to do is add a combination to the cooled rice of 3 tablespoons of rice vinegar, unseasoned, a tablespoon and a half of sugar, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and stir that into your rice. And then we're ready to start assembling. So I have my nori with the rough side up, and I'm going to take about 2/3 cup of rice. And if you notice, I have, and I should have done this before, I have a bowl of cold water right here because your rice is so sticky. You want to keep dipping your fingers in that while you handle the rice. So we're just going to gently roll this onto our nori. And you don't want to press it in too much. You just want to roll it on. And I'm not brave enough yet, but I'm going to try some Philadelphia rolls. And then some regular sushi rolls as well with the tuna. But for right now, we're just doing California rolls. Just a tiny bit more. Okay. Get my fingers again. And then I'm going to take, you can use either toasted sesame seeds, black sesame seeds, or just plain white sesame seeds, and you want to sprinkle that on top of your rice. Dip your fingers one more time, and then press that in gently so it's sticking to the nori really well. Okay. Now we're ready to flip our nori sheet onto our mat so that we can start assembling the actual ingredients. And I'm going to press this down a few times just to make sure that rice is really adhered to the nori sheet. Then we have some imitation crab we're going to put down the center. And if you, you can shred your crab up if you want to. You just don't want it too thick. That goes on that side. Then my julienne cucumber is going to go on the side away from me. And then the next thing that goes on will be my avocado. And you want that because it's kind of like a glue that's going to hold this together while I'm rolling. So you want that to be on the side closest to you. And once you have those and they're pretty compact, you want to start rolling your mat. So I'm going to take my mat and use my fingers to pull this towards me and roll the mat away. And just keep adjusting as you go.
Crab in further. On your left.
What?
Poke that crab on the left further.
I got a runaway crab.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that that nori sheet seals to the other side. Fingers one more time. So I can press it together. If you want to re-roll again just to get everything nice and tight, you can do that. And there you have it. Now all we have to do is slice it up. And you want to make sure you use a sharp knife that's been dipped in the cold water, and you want to use a sawing motion to cut it, to cut through that nori. And there you have your rolls. And you can serve this, like I said, with the pickled ginger, with wasabi, which is my favorite, but Katie doesn't like the spice. And after you cut a few, you're going to want to dip your knife again before you keep going. But that's all there is to making California rolls. Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I am doing a California recipe today. I have an aunt who has lived in California for a long time. In fact, I spent a couple of years there, went to elementary school for a couple of years in California, and it's a great place to visit. And some of the food is just extraordinary. And so I'm going to share a recipe for Baja fish tacos, and it's got a lot of the flavors from Baja, California, but it starts with the slaw that's going to go on it. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can make a more traditional curtido slaw, which is a vinegar dressing with vinegar and water over your cabbage and your jalapenos. But we're not as crazy about that, as we like to vary this recipe a little bit for that reason. But I would normally shred up my own cabbage, and it would take about a third of a head of cabbage. But it's just as easy to use a slaw blend or slaw mix that's prepared, and I used about a half a bag of that. And then I diced up about a quarter to a half of a jalapeno, and that's going to go in here. And these tacos have a beer batter on them, so I've got that ready for it. And then because we don't like that whole vinegar water combination, we like a creamier slaw that goes on our fish tacos. And so I like to buy Lighthouse coleslaw dressing. You can use your favorite dressing or make your own, whatever you like, or you can use the traditional. But I have about a half a jar of that I'm going to add in to my slaw mix. And then I'm going to stir this together and then set this aside in the refrigerator until we're ready for it, until our tacos are ready. And when you're making slaw, a lot of times when you put the dressing in, you think, oh, that doesn't have enough dressing. But as it sits, you'll find that it just kind of it kind of grows in there. It makes it so there's even more. It looks like there's more than there was to begin with. So I'm going to give that a good mix and then refrigerate this. And then I'll come back and show you how to make the creamy sauce that goes over our fish. And then I'll show you how to make the fish part. So our slaw's in the fridge. Now we're ready to make the cream or the sauce that we're going to use over the fish tacos. And it's a chipotle cream sauce. And so this has a lot of those Baja flavors in it. So I'm going to start with a cup of mayo in my bowl. So I want to do this ahead too, and then I can refrigerate this and the slaw. And then all I have to do is fix the fish and we'll start putting those things together. So I have my cup of mayo. I'm going to add a couple of cloves of garlic. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of adobo sauce. And then I have a couple of the chipotle peppers that were in the adobo sauce that I cut up. I'll put that in. You're going to cut this fairly fine. And then I'm just going to give a squeeze of fresh lime. Okay. And I'm going to mix those together, and then I'll refrigerate this until our fish is ready. And it'll be ready to put over the top of our fish tacos. Okay, we're on the last stage of our Baja fish tacos. So I'm making the batter that the fish will be dipped in. And you can use any kind of white fish, about a pound of it. And you want to cut that in 1 inch by 3 inch pieces, and then use paper toweling to dab it dry so that the batter will stick to it that much better. And then you're going to take 1 cup of flour and add to that 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to use my ½ teaspoon twice so that I can use my other teaspoon for something else without getting some more out. And you're going to add in some chili powder. You want to add another teaspoon of chili powder. And I'm going to mix that, and then to this I'm going to add 1 cup of beer. And I've got my oil heating. I'm going to cook this fish in batches. So I've got a plate with some toweling on it, waiting for that fish to be done. So I'm going to add 1 cup of beer. And it may take a little more than 1 cup, but as you can see, I have plenty. And I'm not a beer drinker, so this is more than enough of what I need. The rest will go to waste. I don't even like the smell of beer. So there's my 1 cup. And again, I'll mix this, and if it's too thick, I'll add a little bit more. But we'll just have to wait and see. I honestly don't think I'm going to need any more. Okay, so there's my batter. My oil still isn't hot enough, but I'm going to go ahead and get some of my fish ready. You just want to dip it in there, and then it'll be ready to go in my hot oil, and I'll show you when that oil is hot. Okay, our oil is up to 350, and so I'm going to add in 1 batch of my fish that's been in our batter, and then let that fry up until it's golden brown, and then I will go ahead and add some more and do this in batches. If you can see in the, I've got my beer for my batter, carrots in a big bag. We are so blessed to have Second Harvest, and for people who can't, someone was sharing with me today that They get this for, especially for families who can't afford to buy a lot of the staples like onions and carrots and apples and those things. And so I had some friends stop by that were talking about that and showed me some of the stuff that they provide. So I think that's a wonderful organization, and I want to plug that if I could. But anyway, between each batch, you want to make sure the heat comes back up to about 350 so your fish gets evenly done. And I'm going to do this in batches, drain it, and then we'll be ready to assemble. Okay, our first batch of fish is done. It cooked 3 or 4 minutes, and is it golden brown? Now I'm working on my second batch, and it won't take long at all for all of this to be cooked up and ready to assemble. Making sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.